Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to be looking at how to set up proxy chains. Now you might be asking yourself, what is proxy chains and how can I use it to my advantage? Well, proxy chains, simply put, is essentially the process of breaking the direct connection between a receiver and a sender. Alright, so breaking the connection between you and a server by forcing applications or different programs to pass your traffic through a user-defined list of proxies. All right, so essentially proxy chains allows you to tunnel your traffic through a set of proxies that obviously changes your IP address, and it makes it harder to find out who you really are. Now again, this is all down to anonymity, and this is how one would go about achieving this while performing different tasks, and I'm going to show you how to set it up. Alright, so with Kali Linux, proxy chains comes pre-installed and you just need to configure it. Now, again, I'm not going to recommend any proxies that you can use. What I'm going to use is I'm going to use the Tor proxies. So if you're not familiar with Tor, Tor is essentially the onion router, and you might have heard about it being used for anonymity. And essentially what we're going to do is we're going to harness the power of the Tor proxies or the Tor nodes, and we're going to use it to tunnel our traffic through it. So that gives us anonymity. All right, so essentially what you need to do first is we need to make sure that the Tor is installed on our Kali Linux machine, and the Tor service more specifically, not the Tor browser. So to do this, we would use the apt get install and we would hit Tor. All right, now again, for me, I already have it installed, but it's, as you can see, it's upgrading it. And once it's done, you should be good to go, and we can move to the next step, which is essentially configuring the proxy chains file, the configuration file, and then moving on to starting the Tor service and then tunneling different specific programs through the Tor proxies. So let this installation of Tor complete, and we'll move on to starting the Tor service, and I'll show you how to start, restart, and stop services accordingly. Alright, so there we are, it's installed, and now we can move on to configuring the proxy chains configuration file. Now, there are different ways you can do this, and one of the ways I'm going to do it now is I'm going to use an editor, a text editor called Nano. Alright, now Nano is a terminal or a command line text editor, not a graphical user interface text editor. And again, I'm not going to introduce you to Vim, which is one of the most advanced editors for Linux, especially the terminal. Because that deserves probably its own course, because it's very comprehensive tool to use and to understand. So I'm just going to show you how to do this with Nano, because it is the most easiest editor, especially in the terminal. Right, so what we want to do is we want to hit Nano. All right, and now essentially we are configuring the proxy chains configuration file, which can be found in the directory etc proxy chains, simple as that, .conf. All right, so .configuration file, and just hit enter. And there we are. It's going to open the configuration file, and now we have this editor. Now again, it's going to give you some information. So it's going to say proxy chains version 3.1. It's a HTTP SOCKS 4 SOCKS 5 tunneling proxifier with DNS. Excellent. Now I already have configured it, but what you will find is you will find the dynamic chain has a hash at the beginning, which means it is commented. So I want you to delete the hash. So yours will be like this. I just want you to go, just use your keyboard to scroll to the hash and just get it deleted, and that means we've activated the dynamic chain. So I just want you to activate that. Next, what do we need to do next? Well, just leave everything as it is, and you want to go to this setting right here, proxy DNS requests. All right, now what this means is this is essentially asking you, do you want to leak your DNS information? And obviously we do not want to leak our DNS information, because again, DNS servers can reveal your true IP address, right? So yours will be also commented. So just get rid of the comment and you should be good. Now leave every other setting and just scroll down with your mouse wheel. You can also use that as well. And there are going to be some examples here as to how you can configure the proxies. What we want to do is go to the very end and go to the proxy list right here. And as you can see, there's a SOCKS 4 proxy added, and I've added a SOCKS 5 proxy. So we want to do that together. All right, so we're adding a SOCKS 5 proxy that will allow traffic, so that will allow us to pass our traffic through Tor at a much faster speed, because SOCKS 5 is much better than SOCKS 4. All right, so SOCKS 5, we just type in SOCKS 5, and you can just use your space or your tab. All right, so make sure you're consistent with this. Now, the default IP address and port that that Tor is configured to run on Kali Linux is 127.0.0.1 with the port 9050. So we want to essentially use Tor as our proxy. So all we have to do is just hit 127.0.0.1 and same 9050. All right. So we're essentially passing all our traffic through Tor. And once we're done, we just need to hit Control. So on your keyboard, the Control key, and you want to hit O. All right. And this will save. It will prompt you to save. Just hit Enter. And to exit the editor, just hit Control plus X. Fantastic. Now we have installed Tor. We have configured the Proxychains file. Now we need to start the Tor service. All right. To start the Tor service, like with any other service in Linux, we use the service command. So service Tor start. All right. So service Tor start, and that will start this Tor service. Excellent. Now, if you're having issues, you can restart the Tor service. So service Tor restart. All right. So restart like so, and just hit Enter, and it'll restart the service. And you can stop it as well. So service Tor stop. Now, I don't want to stop it because it's very essential that we use it. All right. So once you've started the Tor service, we can now start our Proxychains. So let's say we wanted to use Firefox with Proxychains. So we wanted to anonymize everything that we do in the Firefox browser. So what we would do is we would start by saying Proxychains. This is the syntax. So Proxychains. Now you select the program or the command or the tool that you want to pass the traffic through. So for example, you can use Proxychains with Nmap. You can use Proxychains with the Metasploit console. You can use Proxychains with Armitage, etc., etc. Right? So we can say Proxychains, and since we're using Firefox, I'm just going to hit Firefox, and after this, you can select a website that you want to open. So I'm going to open a site that will check for my IP address, and it's going to check whether or not I have leaked any DNS information. So that site is www.dnsleaktest.com. I'm going to hit Enter, and it's going to start the Proxychains. And again, it's going to wait for the Mozilla Firefox to start up. Give it a few seconds. There we are, and the Proxychains have started. And there we are, Firefox has started as well. Let me just close my previous session there. And again, give it a few seconds. Now, one thing I do have to point out is that the Proxychains will be slow depending on the proxies that you choose. Now, I do not recommend you going out there and Google searching for free proxies, because you cannot trust them, right? You're essentially passing your traffic through a proxy that you cannot trust, and that is essentially leaking your information. So there we are. It's opened the site, and www.dnsleaktest.com, and it's saying, hello, you're from Bucharest, Romania, and I can confirm that I'm not in Romania. And we can see that it's working. It has anonymized all my activity. Next, we can run the standard test button right here that will test our DNS information to see what DNS servers that we're currently using. And if everything has been configured correctly, we should be using DNS servers that are not related to my location. All right. So just give this a few seconds. It shouldn't take too much time at all. Now, let me just minimize this. Now, as you can see, some activity is happening in the terminal in which we started our Proxychains, and you can see it is essentially connecting the Tor proxy port right here, and the IP and the port to a new IP address, which pretty much the IP that we saw over there, which is the one at Bucharest, and the site's IP. So you can see all the activity passing through the terminal. Now, again, just give it a few seconds here. Again, I'm going to really pass a little disclaimer that the connection will not be the fastest connection that you can use. All right. So again, just let this run, and it should show that the DNS servers are in another geographical location. All right. So that's going to be it for this video. In the next video, we're going to be looking at starting the different network services